Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode from Your Own Pathway Leadership and Mental Wellbeing in the Workplace. For those who don't know me, my name is Paya. I'm a trained psychotherapist, turned empowerment life coach, and organizational leadership consultant, where I bring my skills, my knowledge, and expertise to empower all of you to forge your own path and to own it. So, I hope you all are having a wonderful day, week, whenever you are watching this. So, let's get right into this week's episode. And this episode was actually inspired from an article that I read or saw. It was actually a few months ago. And this was brought by a article from the founder of God, her name is like Emily Greedy. I think I said her name right. And she is the founder of Good American, which is a co-founder, and she's an entrepreneur. And I think she works with the Kardashians with their skins. With their skins, and she was on the Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, and when he asked her about how she approaches work life balance, she said that I think it's a responsibility as an employee to figure that out. I don't think it's on the employer. She went on to say asking about work life balance in a job interview is a red flag. So, I will link this article in the description box. But yeah, and so I wanted to really and to look at this and say, you know what? Why you should ask about work life balance when you are at a job interview. So today's episode is asking about self-care the ultimate deal breaker in job interviews. And I'm going to say right now, no. No, it is not. It is something so essential that you have to ask about. And so let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. And so when you ask that question, yes, you may make a few higher managers or HR, whoever is interviewing you, squirm. And should you ask this question? Should you ask about self care when you're interviewing for a new job? And why doing it, even if they see it as a red flag, can actually be your best career move? Here's the truth: if you don't ask or talk about self care during the hiring process, you're gambling with your future. You're gambling with your future energy, your future mental health, and performance. A lot of people think that asking about self care makes you look soft or uncommitted, but in reality, it tells you everything. It tells you everything you need to know about a company's culture before you even sign that offer letter. It's not just a fluffy question, it is a powerful way to see if you two will be a match for each other. And here is why it matters and why you need to ask that question. First, again, it tells you about the company culture. Do they value work life balance, or is that just something that they write about in a job ad or in the LinkedIn or Indeed or wherever it is that you're finding this job? Self care is about having the capacity to keep delivering your best work over time. Burnout kills productivity, creativity, and problem solving. And it's far more expensive to recover from that than to prevent it. So, culture is revealed in the answer when you ask that question. When you ask about self care, what you're really asking is, does this workplace support the humans doing the work, or is it just the work itself? If they dodge the question or act like it's weird or that it's fluffy or that it's, why is this something that is important to you? That is a preview of how they will treat you when you need a sick day or a mental health break or something personal or out of your control comes up. Another thing is it shows the leadership mindset. So, leaders don't manage just time, they manage energy. When you frame self care as part of sustainable performance, you're showing that you think long term and lead yourself well. That is not weakness, that's strategy. It might mean that they've got a grind culture mindset, and that means productivity over people. Or it may also show or demonstrate that they have low emotional intelligence, not understanding the link between well being and high performance. This could also mean or even point out to high turnover because people burn out and leave. And most importantly, it shows a values mismatch. What they're essentially telling you is that they're looking for someone willing to sacrifice personal peace, personal health for the job, even if that's not you, that's a sign to keep looking. And again, I'm going to say this throughout the video. Remember that interviewing a job is not just you and them interviewing you, it's you also interviewing them. And you have to decide what are your values, what are your non negotiables about this job. And if you ask this question, and if the higher managers feel like it shows that this is a red flag. Again, that shows the leadership mindset. Another thing is if you were to ask this question and they feel that, you're not going to be very dedicated to the job, what this shows that it protects you from the costly mismatches. When I did EAP work, I worked with clients who felt that their current job was not where they wanted to be. And so they spend weeks and months interviewing for a different job. They get the job, and within a month, they say, Paya, this job is not for me. I'm going back to my old job. And it was a really costly mismatch, not only for them, but for the new employer because of things about values, red flags that they probably didn't really consider because they were so eager to move away from their old environment. So, again, it protects you from the costly mismatches. And so, if your potential boss thinks asking about well being is a red flag, guess what? You just got a free glimpse into a culture that may glorify burnout. You're not just rejecting the job, you're avoiding a trap. Asking about self care in an interview is not weakness, it's a form of leadership. Okay? It is a form of leadership. If someone sees it as a threat, they're telling you everything you need to know. They're telling you everything right there, what you need to know before you even start. And this is a glimpse into your potential future. Remember, your career is a big part of your life, it's not your whole life. And part of that is choosing a workplace that protects both your paycheck and your peace. And this includes your mental well being. Okay. We've all had jobs where we're there for the paycheck and it sucked our soul. It sucked our soul. It sucked our identity. It sucked everything out of us. And I talked about this on other episodes about what happens when you have a job that you're there for the money. I understand money is important, but money can only take you so far if it sucks the living life out of you. So, another thing about asking this question during an interview is the best workplaces won't flinch when you ask a question about self care. The companies that are worth working for will have clear answers. They will have clear answers related to their work policies, if it's flexible, or what it entails. It also includes leadership that supports downtime and gives real example of how they protect their people's mental health. And it's not all just lip service. Okay, so how do you actually ask this question without it being risky? And I'm going to be honest with you, it's all about how you ask it. And this is something that we talked about a lot in therapy sessions when people were looking for new jobs, and that was one of the things that they wanted to really focus on. Is it's all about how you ask, because quite honestly, self-care is such a big term. And so it's how you ask it, and be specific about what it is in self-care that you are actually looking for. So here's how you can ask without sounding risky. So maybe you can ask, how does the team or leadership here support employee well-being and supporting sustainable performance? I cannot say the word sustainable today. And supporting sustainable performance. So you're tying self-care, when you ask it that way, you're tying self-care directly to productivity and results. And even put it back to leadership. Say, leadership, how do you take care of all of you? What do you do on a daily basis to take care of yourself when things are getting tough, when they're getting busy? How do you take care of yourself, or what is important for you to ensure that you're present so that you can lead your team? So ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask tough questions too, because when you ask these questions, it shows that you are invested and you want to know how leadership leads also. So that is all I have for today. This episode was kind of short. And again, I will link the article that I talked about. This article was actually, I'm going to show it a little bit here. Bear with me for a second here. All right. I hope you all can see this. Okay. So this is actually from the CEO today, because I found other articles talking about this. There were some who were praising her, and there were some that had a lot of backlash. And so for CEO today, they talked about this. She said, it's your responsibility as an employee to figure that out. I don't think it's on the employer. She went on to say, asking about work-life balance in a job interview is a red flag. The backlash was swift and loud. Critics flooded social media accusing her of promoting toxic hustle culture that glorifies overwork and dismisses the very real consequences of burnout. But this controversy goes beyond one podcast quote. Greedy comments tap directly into a generation divide around workplace expectations, mental health, and boundaries. So it just kind of goes on to talk about her background, what she's doing, and how she, in 2016, she co-created Good American with Khloe Kardashian by earning $1 million in sales. And so I know that the Kardashians do not have the best record as a representation for us regular people. And of course, there was that there was that one time Kim Kardashian was calling American women lazy, and that they're all sitting on their asses. And so I think we can safely say that Kim Kardashian is not someone to take feedback from about day-to-day life here. So um what else? Yeah. And so who's really it raises a question, what kind of workplace are we building? Who's really responsible for mental well-being? And um the idea that work-life balance is solely the employee's burden ignores one key truth. Companies suffer when their teams burn out. Low morale, missed deadlines, disengaged employees, and costly turnover are all linked to environments where balance is considered a luxury instead of a necessity. Studies have shown consistently that companies that prioritize employee well being see higher retention, better productivity, and more innovation. And with Gen Z and younger millennials increasingly seeking roles that respect personal time and mental health. Comments like greedies risk alienating a huge part of the future workforce. And so when greedy say it's a red flag, when a candidate brings up work-life balance in interviews, sent shockwaves to professional circles. But is it really such a bad question? In fact, asking about balance can show self-awareness, time management, and desire to bring your best self to the job. It signals someone who's serious about sustainable success and not just sprinting toward burnout. And so we talked about all of this. And so it says treating that question as a warning sign reflects a mindset more aligned with outdated startup culture where overworking was worn like a badge of honor. In today's world, it feels increasingly tone deaf. So it's worth noting that Emma is in a very specific position, a successful entrepreneur with multiple businesses, a seat at the table with the Kardashians, and access to resources and flexibility where most people don't have. And I think that's what it is that a lot of people don't have access to the type of resources that she has, other CEOs, supervisors, anybody who is high in the chain, where they have all the resources where they can hire for help. For her, balance may be individual choice. For millions of workers, it's something they're actively fighting for. And so to place the responsibility solely on employees without acknowledging structural issues like unrealistic deadlines, under resourcing, or toxic leadership misses the full picture. Balance isn't just a personal decision, it's a cultural commitment that must be shared between employer and employee. So, in conclusion, it says Emma Greedy's remarks have sparked more than just online outrage. They've reopened a much needed conversation about what modern leadership should look like. Leaders don't need to coddle their teams, but they do need to recognize that a healthy, engaged workforce doesn't happen by accident. In all, at the end, it says work life balance isn't a red flag, it's a green light for sustainability, respect, and human dignity. And if asking that question makes you unhireable in someone's eyes, maybe the real red flag isn't the question, but the culture behind the answer. And so, yeah, so this is everything that we just talked about. And if you're looking for a job, please ask this question, ask it in a way again, and put it in a way that shows that that you want to be the best, that you want to be your best self at work. But in order to do that, how is the employee? How is employer? How is leadership? How is leadership promoting this? Because if they don't, and you get someone like Emma Greedy saying it's a red flag, then you know what? That is a red flag right there for you. And that says to you a lot more about the company culture and the boss than it says about you. So that is all I have for today. And if you are someone who interviewed for a job and after asking about company culture or about self-care or anything that was important to you and you got an answer where you're like, no, this is not the right job for me. I'm gonna run as fast as I can. Put it down in the comments and tell us more about it. So again, this is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope today's episode was educational for all of you. And if you're new to my channel, please, and if you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button. And again, if you like this episode, please hit the like button. So, again, this is all I have for all of you today. Take care, and I will see you all next time. Bye.